Blessings, everybody. Welcome to the episode of Political Street. I'm your community ambassador, Mr. Robin J. Anderson. All right. Before I get started and introduce my next guest, I'm going to give my disclaimer. All right. Political Street is not a politically endorsing podcast. We're here for information purposes only. On Political Street, I interview business owners, community leaders, and elected officials. All right. So with that being said, this microphone is still trying to get me. With that being said, this young lady here, we met her probably around almost a little ways ago, you know, on the same campaign trail. We ran for District B or whatnot, you know. But she's been out here, still moving, still, you know, doing her thing. And we're going to say about why she's here in a second. But I'm letting Miss Renee Jefferson Patterson.
That's right, Patterson.
Miss Patterson, right? So what I'd like to do first, Renee, I'd like to get a background of where you come from and this and that, and we move forward. This podcast is for so people can see the human side of people besides the whole quote-unquote political side and whatnot. So, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up right here. I'm born and raised right here in Acres Home. Born at Citizens General Hospital. Grew up right behind here in Montgomery Terrace.
Yeah. I passed up a couple times, man, so I know you.
Yeah, right here from Acres Home. My family is still here. My maternal and paternal side is from Acres Home, so I have family floating all through Acres Home. Attended Eisenhower High School.
I ain't gonna hold it against you. I went to Aldine. Y'all know what time it is.
I had a lot of cousins to go to Aldine, but I did have the pleasure of attending Nimitz and Eisenhower because I had moved with my aunt for a little bit when I was in 7th grade. So I went to Nimitz, and then we, you know, came back, and I ended up going to Eisenhower. But of course, Irma Elementary, Shotwell Middle School.
Shotwell too?
Shotwell. You went to Stovall.
I did.
No, went to Shotwell. So, you know, I mean, my roots are here.
It's here, gotcha.
My roots are right here in Acres Home.
Gotcha. So after high school, where was Renee?
So after high school, believe it or not, I got married.
Okay. All right.
I got married super early. Got married, became pregnant with triplets, which I've told this story a few times.
Excuse me, you had triplets?
I had triplets naturally.
Wow.
I conceived triplets naturally, gave birth without any anesthesia. The unfortunate part is I lost them. So I lost them shortly after birth. My pregnancy was considered 1 out of 100,000. They had to study in India because I had 2 sacs. So 1 sac with twins, another sac with 1 baby. So it was like twins and a fraternal. And then had to have an amniocentesis, which is like that long needle they stick in your stomach to determine the sex. And it just turned out they were all girls. Wow. So that's what made it a little bit more complex than just a multiple pregnancy. But nevertheless, I lost them all because they were preterm. I delivered them preterm. You know, I had to have a funeral, the whole 9. Yeah. But God is good because you asked about Zoe. I was blessed with Zoe like a year later. And so I had 3 kids. I lost 3 kids, and now I have 3 kids. So God,
she's considered like your rainbow child then.
She is. And I'm going to tell you an interesting story. When I was in the process of getting ready to give birth to her, they asked me what her name was going to be, and I said Zoe because I knew Zoe meant life. And then afterwards they said, well, what's going to be her middle name? Because they come to you with all this paperwork right after you have a baby.
Yes,
and it's like, what's her middle name? And I'm like, I don't know. And I said, well, I guess I'll just give her Renee. So her name was Zoe Renee.
Oh, wow.
But then when I really got some time and I wanted to look up her name, her name meant life born again.
Wow.
And she was born... her due date was March 28th. I had the triplets on March 23rd.
Wow.
But I had Zoe on March 1st. So,
but still, it's, you know.
But still, I just, you know, and she is the best daughter. I have 2 daughters. But for her to be
my... I hadn't met, well, I met the oldest one. I've seen the baby, yeah. I've seen her, yeah.
Well, the baby is now almost 14.
Goodness gracious, time is going by.
Yeah, the baby's almost now 14. Yeah. So for Zoe to have been that firstborn after the triplets and, you know, life born again. She's a beautiful girl, beautiful spirit.
She's your twin, man. I've seen pictures of her, man. I'm like, man.
People say that all the time, and I still can't see
you don't
it.
see it,
Thank you. She's a great person. And then I have Walter. He is a senior right now at Fisk University, so he graduates next year. His dad and I are super proud about that. And then Kyrie is 13, will be 14 very soon this year.
Okay, gotcha. So after Renee had Zoe and she's going to like what's going on this time? What year is this?
I'm married. I'm 18. I'm trying to figure out life. I was enrolled at Texas Southern for just a short time.
What was she thinking, y'all?
Just a short amount of time.
You know,
No, I went just a short amount of time. So a little backstory, I was actually a sprinter in high school. So
really?
Everyone who knows me knows that I was super fast in track and field.
Okay.
I held a record at Shotwell for 23 years.
Wow.
I was always the anchor leg from middle school all the way to high school. And I went to TSU, but when I got to TSU was on scholarship probation.
Gotcha.
And by then I was married. I was trying to, help my husband with managing life and finish school. So I got my real first start at HCC.
Okay. Gotcha.
And
wow.
I was a student at HCC, and it's so interesting because now being a board trustee, when I walked in, I saw one of my professors, and we kind of locked eyes, but I was like, is that Professor
Where I know you from?
Yeah, like, where do I know you from? And it turned out he was my professor when I was at HCC. So I left HCC, I went to University of Phoenix, and I got my degree.
Gotcha.
And I have a corporate background, so I was a regional HR manager at ExxonMobil.
I didn't know that.
Covered all of Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And then once I left corporate America, I became a business owner. So I've owned a medical spa, and now
Now, what exactly is a medical spa? I'm not sure what that is.
So we focused on weight loss. We focused on weight loss and more rejuvenation treatments. And then after COVID and after running for office and it depleting me of all my funds, you already know what that's like.
I do.
Yeah.
I was going to touch on that as far as like when did you get the bug to run and get into political office and whatnot. But it's a good segment to it.
So I now own an interior design and remodeling firm.
I remember telling about that.
So that's what I do, and I love it. And I still get to be a part of transforming lives because we go to the workplace, but home is like the safe haven.
It is.
Even when you come back from vacation, it's like, man, I can't wait to get home.
Back home. That's true.
No matter what it looks like, it's good to clean up before you go on vacation.
That's
so
true.
when you come back, you feel like you can just chill, but you're just ready to get back in your bed.
That's true.
And so I love what I do in terms of interior design and remodeling.
Gotcha. So politics. You and I, we've had some conversations, about the current condition of Houston's politics, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about when you decide you want to be a public servant.
So, again, from Acres Home, live in Trinity Garden. I remember our neighbor at that time throwing trash on his lot and turning it into like a dump. And I just feel like just because you live, quote unquote, what most people would call the hood does not mean that you have to treat it like a hood, right?
I agree.
And so I still had landscapers coming to my house and making sure my yard was cut and my trees were trimmed, just making sure my own little piece of property had the beautification that I felt like it needed. And so to see things like trash dumped on the side of you is an eyesore.
It is, I agree.
And I remember having to tackle that issue. And it was my ex-husband at the time that said, you should consider running for office.
Oh, wow.
Now, I have donated to political campaigns and always voted, but never in a million years did I think that I would ever run for office.
Right.
And because I'm from Acres Home, but I moved to Trinity Garden, I started to participate in the civic club meetings and super neighborhood meetings, to become more engaged with what's happening in the community.
Right.
And I think that's where I got my start. And then also, being a young lady that was raised by my grandparents, I came to the realization that there are so many homebound seniors that do not have family.
Right.
And they have no one looking after them. And so just becoming more in tune with politics, right? And realizing that there are a lot of defunding that happens with seniors. So not only are they on a low income, but maybe they didn't leave work with a retirement plan.
Right, you're right.
Maybe they just left a job because they got too old.
Right.
And so we're not too old.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I got
but maybe because they got older and they were not able to work.
Right, right.
And so it just really put a fire under me to want to become more engaged in what's happening in my community. And not to mention, it's the same community that I'm raising my kids in, right? My children went to Bethune, to Anderson, to Reese, from Reese to Anderson,
to
Bethune,
Houston.
To Houston.
Well, yeah, one of them too.
Houston, Bethune, and then Drew. And then I think after Drew is when I kind of drew the line and I put them in private school.
Gotcha.
And so Zoe is a graduate of St. Pius. Walter actually went to Mickey Leland. He started as straight Jesuit, but he graduated from Mickey Leland at Fifth Ward.
Yeah, gotcha. You mentioned civic clubs. What for people who are not from Houston? What are actually civic clubs?
So a civic club is an organization that's not necessarily spearheaded by the city of Houston, but it's a civic. It's based on civic engagement to talk about the issues that are happening within the community, whether it's beautification projects, whether it's cleanup, whether it involves illegal dumping. Some civic clubs actually raise money because they want to do things to better their communities.
Right.
And so it's just an opportunity to come together to know what's happening in your community. And there's an opportunity to invite individuals from the city of Houston to talk about efforts that they can assist with.
Gotcha.
And so that's a little bit different than the super neighborhood that is spearheaded by the city of Houston. Super neighborhood encompasses all those civic clubs that are within that particular community.
Gotcha. Almost similar to an HOA in a sense, but yes and no, because HOAs, they got deed restrictions and things like you get you here. So yeah, I think if Acres Home would have had that, we probably be the condition that it's in now. If they had an HOA, for lack of a better word. But the civic clubs to me were very relevant at the time. But it's like now, it's like they're starting to phase out because of more seasoned people are in them instead of more youth. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so
Acres Home would be very hard to have a civic club because I remember my grandfather telling me, and my grandfather originated from Fifth Ward to Acres Home when he was like 9. And so I remember when he was explaining to me how all of this was like dirt roads. And my grandparents my grandfather's deceased now, but my grandmother has been back in Montgomery Terrace for over 60 years.
Wow.
And so when we think about the various parts of Acres Homes, it's so broken up, right? It's broken up, but I swear all the roads lead to one different area. You just take a back road or a back street. It's so many different ways to get to the various communities within Acres Home.
That's true.
But I will tell you that I know Montgomery Terrace has a HOA.
It does?
They have an HOA, absolutely. Now, how
I can see that because of how. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So they have a HOA. I don't know how active it is, how involved they are, because I know Mr. Flowers, who is over the HOA, is older in age, but I do believe that the Rosses are assisting him with that.
Okay.
And, one of the reasons why that's important, across from where my grandmother lives, I remember my grandfather's been gone about 40 years ago. They were trying to build a duplex, and Montgomery Terrace, so
I do.
It's not where you want to put a duplex.
Yeah.
And I remember the morning of my grandfather's funeral, realizing that they were turning it into a duplex. Now, all this time, I just saw the structure coming up every time I would visit my grandmother. But I didn't think it was going to be a duplex until I saw the framing of the 2 doors.
So is this down like maybe going towards Victory, that back end?
No, it's on Blue Sky.
Okay, gotcha.
It was on Blue Sky.
Gotcha.
And after the funeral, when everyone came back for the repast, I went to Mr. Flowers' house on that same day and had a discussion and was like, listen, I can help you with this. Let me help you. I, got some individuals that I know at the city involved, and everyone became more civically engaged. And I kid you not, they had the structure, the frame of the home, everything up. They were getting ready to put the windows in.
That's crazy.
And they end up having to tear it down.
Wow.
So they tore it down and reinforced the deed restrictions in the HOA. And so now you can no longer build a duplex in Montgomery Terrace because, as you know, it's all single family.
It is, yeah,
homes, and it's been that way for the last 60 years.
Wow. You know, I one of my things I was going to do for Acres Home if I had gotten into office was we needed TERS out here. We needed TERS because but then they told me, Renee, that Acres Home cannot sustain a TERS because there aren't a lot of businesses out here to sustain it. I'm like, that don't make sense. What you mean? You know what I mean? And so, but I don't know. We got to figure out something. But because right now, I think out of the 16 different civic clubs that Acres Home have, only 4 are functioning. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out how to galvanize who's left, maybe expand some territories or whatever. But anyway, that's a side note. We'll talk about that off camera.
We have a lot of businesses out here.
Right.
We have a lot of businesses, but they may be talking about the revenue growth and development of the actual businesses because we don't have a bank necessarily in Acres Home, right?
True.
And so
we had one.
What I've noticed is they have given us access to a lot of things, but not necessarily right here
That's a good point.
in the community.
You're right.
If you go down 249, my mom and my grandmother, because my mom lives with my grandmother, they have access to the Walmart and everything that's on 249. They put Joe V's and gave us Joe V's, and then what was Randall's is now Foodorama. All of those, when you start going into those areas, you are outside of the boundaries of Acres Home.
You're right.
We don't even Joe V's, as close as it is,
it's not Acres Home.
It's not Acres Home.
Right. You're right.
So, we just got to continue to fight. Look, we're next up.
Right.
We're next up. So,
I'm glad you said that because from Ruby Mosley to Alan Parker to, of course, Doris Hubbard, Beulah Shepherd, all these powerhouses we had in our community before us and whatnot, they're gone. So somebody got to, fill into these spots and whatnot. So I called a meeting last year of the people I can get in contact with as far as leaders go, right? And so, my goal, my desire is to bring back that nucleus, and then instead of Acres Home used to be a powerhouse as far as voting turnout goes, right? So to me, I think right now we have about maybe 4 or 5 precincts out here, and that'll be a determining factor. But right now you got one precinct, he does his own thing, precinct chair, another do their own thing. So we can figure out how to galvanize these precinct chairs, and that way the person comes in, we're going to vote as a unit instead of voting fragmented or whatnot.
Right.
So,
and we have a lot of vacancies too. I'm speaking about the district as a whole. There's a lot of vacancies, so we need to make sure that we're helping to fill those vacancies so that we can have more involvement and engagement.
But it's challenging. How do you make it so appeasing enough to the person say, you know what, let me go ahead and fill this precinct chair seat, or what do you tell them?
For me, I've just had individual conversations about what's happening, and I think that we're at the age now where people will become more involved because we have grown children,
That's true.
and what the decisions that we make, they not only affect us, they affect our children at this point.
You're right.
If you own a property, it affects your home and just your way of life, the way you maneuver, Walter and I were talking about how some of the decisions will affect his job, whether for good or for bad. It's still, when you're younger, you don't pay attention as much unless you went into political science and you've always been interested in politics.
That's true.
Politics, but when it starts to affect your household, you start to pay attention. And so I think that raises more awareness to where you want to get involved. And so I've had conversations with people that I know that are willing to step up to the plate because it's starting to affect them.
Gotcha. So the reason why I brought you on here, now we get to the meat, potatoes, and everything, right? So you're in a position right now that was actually filled. Well, it used to be Charlene Ward Johnson, and she was a trustee for HCC, right, District 2. So she vacated the seat because she was now state representative for District 139. Shout out to Charlene. This climate we're in right now, I mean, thank goodness that you ever get in when you got in. So what exactly is HCC trustee? Well, now, what exactly do they do?
So a board trustee is a governing body over the entire college institution as a whole. So there's 27 locations, and a trustee, there's 9 of us. We are over all of the institutions.
Gotcha.
We create the policies and the procedures for the college as a whole. I think most people don't understand that there's the administrative side and there's the trustee side. So sometimes people look to us to do things that we have no governing over, right?
Gotcha.
Because that's on the administrative side. Our only employee is the chancellor.
Gotcha.
But we also have a responsibility to bring programs to our district and the communities that we serve. But we oversee the budget. We do not get involved in legislative issues because we have lobbyists to do that for us. But when it's created and it's brought to us, we are voting on the chancellor's request based on what is needed for the school. And we're also reviewing it. However, at the same time, if there is something that we would like to see done or something that we would like to have changed, we're able to help spearhead that through our bylaws as a board trustee with our other colleagues. So it's a very interesting position because I always say, you have to have a good consensus with your fellow board members because, you have to vote, right? And when you vote, you're voting together. And it takes 5 votes to fulfill having a quorum in order for anything to pass. And so there may be issues that I bring to the table that I want someone to vote on, and I'm going to need their vote, right? And the same thing. Do we always agree or get along? Absolutely not. But when it comes to making the decisions, I think the one thing to remember is that you're doing it on behalf of the college as well as the community.
Gotcha. Speaking of community, I've noticed that there aren't a lot of the enrollment is down. Not just at HCC, at Lone Star as well. Like, what do you think is going on?
Our enrollment is actually up.
It's back up? Okay, gotcha.
Our enrollment is going through the roof right now. It is up. It is skyrocketing right now.
Okay, good deal.
If we continue at the rate that we are on, we will be surpassing a lot of schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so our enrollment is up at all of our campuses, no matter how big or small the campus is. We are doing an exceptional job in terms of enrollment.
Gotcha. How can we, because I've had some things that I want to kind of bring to the board, but what programs do you have that are kind of like for single mothers who want to get off of government assistance? They may have grown up like, say 18 to 25 years old, with they want to get their life changed from being a single mom to. Are there any programs out there for the young women or even men?
So at HCC we have various programs. We have adult learning. So let's just say that someone has not completed even their high school diploma and they want to come back and get their GED. We have adult learning that would assist them with getting their GED.
Wow.
And then from there on, getting their GED, they can come back and get a certification as well as an associate's degree.
Gotcha.
We recently voted to bring back the Houston Reconnect program, which is a program for individuals that have attended HCC in the past and maybe life started lifing, they did not complete it, and they want to come back. They can come back for free. As a board, we've set aside more than $1 million to assist those individuals that have attended. And there are some stipulations in terms of, because you can't be gone for like 20 years until you want to come back, right?
I'm out.
So there are some stipulations, but we do very well about making sure that we meet the needs of the community for where they are, right?
Okay.
Making sure that we're providing those resources. I remember I did a food drive probably back in April, and I was told, well, trustees really don't have food drives. Like, why not? We still have food disparities.
Right.
So that's one of my initiatives, is to make sure that we are having more community engagement from a college standpoint, right? There's so many people that give away food and do things in the community all the time. But I think that people need to know that HCC is engaged and they're involved in what's happening in everyday life, and that people know that we're here and they don't think that we're closed.
Gotcha.
Because even though you may drive by and you see cars, there are things that are happening in that building to regardless how many cars may be in the parking lot, we offer programs.
There's something going on.
There's something going on, but it takes a little bit more than that. So we believe in meeting people exactly where they are and making sure that those resources are available.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Now, how long are the terms?
The term is 6 years, and I'm the fifth trustee in a 6-year term. Let that sink in. Nobody has ever stayed in this seat for 6 years. By their own merit or what, for whatever reason that it is that they left or whatever, nobody has ever been in the seat for 6 years. And so I want to make sure that, we have someone that's consistent and committed to this seat. Just to give people a little backstory about how I got here. Charlene Ward Johnson went on to be a state representative for House District 139. Again, shout out to Charlene. And I applaud her for doing that because it was something that was needed at that time. And I know you ran for that seat as well.
Yeah, as an independent though, but it is what it is.
And so somebody had to run and somebody had to win, right?
That's right.
And so there was a vacancy. They interviewed about 5 of us. It was myself, it was Kathy Gunter, it was Lisa Lightfoot, Brandon Cofield, and Fred Woods. We were interviewed. Fred Woods.
Okay.
Fred Woods. We were interviewed based on our credentials, our leadership experience, and our commitment to the board. Because even though this is a non-paid political position, it does require a lot. It feels like a full-time job, right?
I see.
And so we were interviewed, and they chose me. They chose me, and once they chose me, and I posted this video because I believe it had been some conversation about it being a tie. It was never a tie. There's 9 trustees, so if you remove me from being able to have my vote, and then you have 7 other trustees there, one person abstained their vote. So I got 7 votes. So that's way more than the majority of what was needed. And they voted to put me in the seat. And the reason why it's still considered a vote, even though they classify it as an appointment, because a vote had to take place in order for it to happen.
Gotcha.
And so Walter and I prayed about whether or not I would continue on this journey for just the duration of the term, or if I would do it for the entire 6 years. And because I'm committed to my community, I see no point in having to reinvent the wheel. I'm already here. I'm already doing the work. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it for, the rest of her term, I may as well do it for the duration of the next term so that we can have some consistency. And everyone congratulated me, but then there was one individual who said that they were going to run again. And so here we are in the middle of a campaign. Yes.
Wow. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Very unfortunate, but you're right.
Yeah, and I think that, politics is what's really, it's very divisive. It's splitting all communities up or whatnot, and so, but as soon as we come together, then, what's going on the macro level will stop because it's going to start locally and goes up and whatnot, So for the meetings, are they open to the public or?
They're definitely open to the public. So we meet every other Wednesday. So for instance, we have a board meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
We do not meet next Wednesday, but then we meet the Wednesday after that.
Okay.
Sometimes we do have off periods. So
like during the holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, we will still meet, but I'm just speaking of, I've been so busy this year, I can't really remember. But there's been some times where we've had a long stretch where we may have been off for a month.
Okay.
So like when the students are out, we're out around that time too. And then we come back because something may come before the board that we need to vote on.
Gotcha.
But typically it's every other Wednesday. And then, there's 2 different meetings. There are special meetings, special committee meetings, and then there's a meeting of the whole. The meeting of the whole is everyone, but then the committee meetings are broken up, depending on what committee you're actually on.
Gotcha. Okay, so we mentioned that you have an opponent, so you are running for this seat. When is the elections and everything?
So I'm running for re-election, and the election early voting starts October the 20th, and the election is on November the 4th.
Gotcha. So, this thing is touchy, man, so I didn't want to dive into everything, but I just want to make sure that you got a fair chance as well. I did have your opponent on, So I told her I'm not going to get behind anybody out front like that, but we'll talk about things off the camera and whatnot. So, where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me on social media at Renee Jefferson Patterson. And then I have my political page, Trustee Renee Jefferson Patterson.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok.
I've seen you on TikTok too.
I know. TikTok makes me feel young. Yeah, TikTok makes me feel young.
Yeah.
Some of my social media is scheduled because I'm way too busy to be on there posting every day.
I agree.
But, before this, you would see all of my business stuff, But yeah, that's where you can find me on social media.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if we're wrapping it up, but I do want to let people know about just some really important facts about HCC programs that I think people should know. Am I looking into the camera here?
Yeah, this is your camera right there.
This is my camera right here. So if you have a high school junior or senior and they are interested in getting their associate's degree, we have the dual credit program.
Okay.
And so in graduation this past May, we had over 2,500 graduates. 80% of those individuals graduated with a dual credit degree, which is really important. Don't let anyone tell you we don't have dual credit in our high schools, because we do. They're in every single high school in Northeast Houston.
Gotcha.
And there's an opportunity for your child to get not only their high school diploma, but an associate's degree. And one of the reasons this is really important is because from a federal level, they've cut dollars from
funding.
HBCUs, and they've cut funding, and our students don't have access to Pell Grants and financial aid and some scholarships. But at HCC, we're cutting, half of that cost by giving them an opportunity to get their associate's degree.
Wow.
And so also, if you have a relative, a family member, church member, friend that that was born with any type of intellectual disability or difference, we have the VAST program. And originally it was at the Coleman campus, but I've been able to expand that and to bring it to the Acres Home campus, as well as the North Forest campus. And that is for students that, again, was born with autism, ADHD, or Down syndrome.
Oh, wow.
And we all know someone in our family
on the spectrum.
Right? That's someone on the spectrum. I have a niece and a nephew. I don't necessarily make them the poster child of my campaign, but they are my relatives. And I'm really happy that that program is there. They're in elementary school now. Well, one is getting ready to go to middle school, but by the time they get ready to go to college, that program would have fully been expanded within our two areas in the district, and they can go there to get their education, because they deserve to have an education. Just like everyone else. And then for any senior citizens that are tuned in, we have a program called the Silver Eagle program, which we'll be participating in that very soon. It's for 55 and up, but it's a really great program, and it gives our senior citizens an opportunity to come back and get any type of certification or education, or for those that have senior programs, if you wanted someone from our community learning department to come in, they do quilting, they do aerobics.
Oh, wow.
They can bring someone in to talk about your taxes or how to prepare a deed, whatever the resource that is required or needed. HCC has a program. We even have a program helping you to prepare for when a hurricane comes. So that's community learning. And I love to share this information because unfortunately people do not know. And so I think that people need to know that we are here for more than just education. We're here for the community as well.
Yeah, I'm about to figure out how I can get involved with that, because the more we know about it, the more we can spread it and whatnot. So absolutely. So, but yeah, we are getting out of here. It's getting a little loud. We're at the Acres Home Barber College, y'all. But I appreciate you coming on. I gave you my word. I say, hey, I'm extending the platform. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, it is what it is. So any part words in the shout you want to got them before we leave, or?
Well, I'd like to thank all of you all for tuning in. Again, I am Renee Jefferson Patterson, your HCC Board Trustee for District 2. I am currently doing the work. I see no reason to reinvent the wheel. I am here to continue to advocate for dual credit for our students, to make sure that we have more workforce development and growth, to make sure that we are bringing more community engagement, and to make sure that we have the programs that are necessary for our students to thrive in our community. Early election starts on October the 20th. The election is November the 4th, and I would love to have your support to continue doing this work. Again, Renee Jefferson Patterson, your HCC Board Trustee for District 2. Thank you.
That's Miss Renee. Give her a little, wrong one.
Yay!
But hey, y'all, if y'all make sure to go to my website, flickstreet.com. You see all my podcasts on there. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook or whatnot. So I'm going to have this out before early voting. Said when? October what?
Early voting is October 20th.
Okay, gotcha. I have it before then, I promise.
Okay.
All right, so.
All right.
So until next time, y'all. Peace.
Definitely want to give a shout out to Political Street, man. That's one of the coldest names you can have. Because we out here in these streets, but these politics is trickling down, so it's all intertwined, man. So we got to figure out how to work it the way we work. So shout out to Political Street.